Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Dan Hiscock, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Dylan Spivey. We warmly welcome the family of Private William Eric Pheysey, who are watching the live stream of this ceremony. His story will be told shortly. We are honoured to acknowledge His Royal Highness Tupoa Otoa Olukalala, Crown Prince of the Kingdom of Tonga, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Minister for His Majesty's Armed Forces, and the Honourable Dr. Taniela Fausimalohi, Deputy Prime Minister of Tonga, accompanied by Admiral David Johnston, Chief of Defence Force. General Ronald Clark, Commanding General, United States Army, Pacific, and Mrs. Simona Clark, accompanied by Lieutenant General Simon Stewart, Chief of Army, and Mrs. Katie Stewart. We also warmly welcome the delegation from 1 Recruit Training Unit from the Royal Australian Air Force Base, Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Service Clubs Association, and we welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by a representative on behalf of the family and visitors to the memorial. Now, if you're able, I invite you to all please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. If you wish to and you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Eric Pheysey. William Eric Pheysey was born on Stubborn-on-Severn in England on the 9th of January 1896. He was one of 5 children of William and Ada Pheysey. William attended King Charles I Grammar School in nearby Kidderminster. At the beginning of 1914, when he was 18 years old, Pheysey decided to immigrate to Western Australia. Arriving in Geraldton, he found work as a farm labourer. Britain declared war on Germany in August of that year, and in September, Pheysey volunteered for service in the Australian Imperial Force. After initial training in Australia, in February 1915, Pheysey embarked at Fremantle in the transport ship Itanos. The ship sailed to Egypt, and the men undertook rigorous training in the large Australian army camps outside Cairo. Australian and New Zealand troops landed on Gallipoli on the 25th of April, seeking to capture the peninsula and open the way to the Ottoman capital. Pheysey was among the reinforcements that landed on the peninsula in early May. Once on Gallipoli, he joined his unit, the 11th Australian Infantry Battalion. Soon after he landed, the Ottoman forces launched a major assault on the Australian position. For some 10 hours, waves of Ottoman troops attacked the trenches, but were repulsed with heavy loss of life. The 11th Battalion lost fewer than 20 men killed and wounded during this battle. The fighting throughout the northern summer lessened in intensity, but the Australians on Gallipoli faced a consistent threat of snipers. With the rising heat, water became scarce, and clouds of flies spread illness. On the last day of July, members of the 11th Battalion received orders to storm an Ottoman trench called the Tasmania Post. The troops successfully captured the enemy trench at a high cost in casualties. During the battle, Pheysey was wounded, shot in both legs. He was evacuated to a hospital ship, then to Cairo in Egypt, and finally to a hospital in England. By December, his doctors were satisfied that both wounds had healed, and he was discharged. By now, the Anzacs had withdrawn from the Gallipoli Peninsula and resumed training in Egypt. Pheysey rejoined the 11th Battalion there in March. At the end of the month, the unit sailed to the French port of Marseille, and from there, moved by train to the Somme River region in northern France. The newly arrived Australian troops, alongside other British forces, had the task of capturing German lines centred on the village of Pozières. The village itself was already in ruins from earlier fighting. After a heavy artillery barrage on the German positions, the 11th Battalion attacked the village on the night of the 22nd of July 1916. Moving beyond their objective, men of the unit made their way into cellars and dugouts and took German troops prisoner. The Australians came under rifle and machine gun fire and heavy artillery bombardment. The fighting continued until the 25th of July, when the unit was relieved and moved behind the lines. It was at this point that Pheysey's absence was noted. He had been killed at some point over the 3 days of fighting. More than half of the 11th Battalion had been killed or wounded in the battle. Heavy German artillery fire continued for weeks, and the area around Pozières was completely churned up by the shells. Pheysey's remains were never found. He was 20 years old. Pheysey is commemorated on the Villiers de Brittany Memorial in France, alongside more than 10,000 Australian servicemen who were killed in the war and who have no known grave. Private William Eric Pheysey is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Eric Pheysey, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We'll leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pheysey or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, the staff and the volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. Wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.